Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of TCS News. I'm Danny.
And I'm Rylee.
We have a lot to talk about this week, so let's jump right in. Recently, there's been a lot of conflict around the world about nuclear weapons. This week, President Putin of Russia announced the testing of a new nuclear-capable missile. In response, President Trump called for the resumption of nuclear testing in the United States. This should come as a big surprise, considering that neither of us has been doing nuclear testing since the 90s. Russia was also quick to clarify that Putin had not announced that he would resume nuclear testing. The United States and Russia aren't the only two nuclear-capable countries that could pose a threat to mankind. North Korea's Kim Jong-un has rejected demands for his hermit kingdom to denuclearize, and there has also been tensions between India and Pakistan, with both being nuclear powers. Additionally, there is a risk between the United States and China over the looming threat of an invasion of Taiwan.
An Obama-era nuclear treaty is to set expire in February as well, with further disquiet about the potential for nuclear escalation. During the Trump administration, the United States has been struck multiple nuclear facilities in Iran to reduce their nuclear capabilities. But we haven't destroyed them. The countries with the two largest nuclear arsenals are the United States and Russia, with 5,550 for the United States and 5,977 in Russia's possession individually. The United States has about 3,700 active warheads, 1,700 deployed, and 2,000 in reserve, according to the Federation of America scientists. This figure represents 88% reduction of our arsenal since our peak in 1967. Russia, on the other hand, has 5,459 total warheads.
It is true that many different conflicts currently pose a risk for the development of nuclear war. But the main danger lies within the recent conflict in the triad between the United States, Russia, and Ukraine. The recent resurgence of nuclear testing by the United States was a decision made by Trump in response to his frustration with the use of missiles in Ukraine. Russia has recently attacked Ukraine with cruise missiles, which were developed in secret. One of these missiles had flown 1,200 kilometers, which is especially dangerous due to the possibility of attaching nuclear weapons to the rockets. The secret development and use of such a weapon is a sign of disrespect to the efforts of the United States to end the war in Ukraine, which is especially frustrating for Trump due to his desire to win a Nobel Peace Prize.
The existence of a missile like this is also a threat to Europe and NATO at large. The United States has also withdrawn from the INF Treaty, which was a 1987 agreement with the Soviet Union that disallowed ground-launched ballistic and cruise missiles with ranges up to 500 and 5,500 kilometers. The agreement was signed between Ronald Reagan and Mikhail Gorbachev, but the recent withdrawal eliminated nuclear de-escalation. With all of this being said, it's important to clarify what exactly they're referring to by nuclear testing. Russia is testing missiles that are capable of delivering nuclear weapons. As previously mentioned, there won't be any actual detonations of nuclear bombs, as you may picture. The Trinity test in New Mexico desert. Additionally, the Limited Test Ban Treaty, signed in 1963, has made it so most nuclear test, involving a detonation of underground. The United States has also no plans of resuming this form of nuclear testing, as spelled out Energy Secretary Chris Wright. However, the stakes of such an escalation are so high that even a slight increase in the likelihood of destruction could spell the end of all humankind.
As a response to this looming threat, President Trump has proposed the development of a Golden Dome missile defense shield. You may be familiar with the namesake in some regard, due to Israel's missile defense system being named the Iron Dome. Essentially, a Golden Dome would be a layered defense shield, which is set to safeguard Americans from missiles that could potentially harbor nuclear weapons.
It would be an integrated air missile defense system that would detect and destroy foreign threats. Trump's vision is to ensure security for the U.S. through strength and deterrence, which is what the Golden Dome would hope to accomplish. On the surface, this seems like a good idea, considering the high interception rate of Israel's Iron Dome defense system. However, the existence of such a system would encourage improvement and adoption of missile technology that can supersede the dome. This could also lead to foreign countries of developing domes of their own, which would plunge us into a highly costly arms race. To develop the Golden Dome, it would cost an estimated $3 trillion over 20 years of development.
Personally, I think an issue like this is fundamental to our future. Although the chances of there being a nuclear war are still small currently, the tiniest escalation could set off alarm bells. There's a series of nuclear-capable countries in this world, and we're all armed with weapons that pose a massive existential threat. I think that, to some extent, it's good that their existence poses a deterrent to other countries via mutually assured destruction. This is a very complex issue, and it's hard to tackle it with such a dynamic climate in geopolitics. What do you think about the nuclear predicament, Rylee?
I agree with you, Danny. Although this should never really be an issue in the first place, I still find our defense necessary as we have to stay prepared and keep up with any potential threats.
Now, let's get into some TCS news.
On Wednesday, we went to Center Stage and saw a one-woman play by Lisa Jessie Peterson. Lisa is an artist, an actress, a playwright, a poet, an author, and a young youth activist. She has worked with incarcerated populations for more than 20 years and is the author of the play The Peculiar Patriot. Her play was developed in 2003 and nominated for the Drama Desk Award, the Elliot Norton, and was a recipient of the Lily Award. Lisa has performed the play across 35 prisons across the country, including a documentary. The Peculiar Patriot revolves around the broken prison system and the harsh reality of the many who are involved in it. While being inspired by Lisa's long history of work with the prison population, the play had very deep symbolic meanings that really captured the same issues that we are going through today. The play reached back into history and migration and circled it back to where we are in society, which I felt was very well executed. I really enjoyed this play, and it significantly changed my insight and perspective on the prison system. Lisa did an amazing job capturing the emotion behind the play, as well as getting the message through.
I agree. I thought the play was very well written and powerful. It conveyed such a big, systematic struggle that families of the incarcerated face. It also spoke to issues and loopholes in the government that allow for modern-day slavery, as outlined in the 13th Amendment. I personally thought that Curtis was an interesting character as well. The play was highly enjoyable.
On Thursday, we had a conversation with Center Stage, and we talked to Hope, Erin, Alexis, about the play and Center Stage. They spoke about the process behind the play and how Lisa and the idea behind the play was to show the harsh reality when someone is incarcerated and the hurt it brings to family and friends who know the person. They shared their experiences of what it is like to have a relative in jail, which really reflected the message they were sending through the play. We also talked about some of the issues that the Center Stage faced after DEI was prohibited. Center Stage was getting grants from the government, but when the Big Beautiful Bill passed, it meant Center Stage would have to stop promoting things that went against the Big Beautiful Bill. Center Stage refused to do so, which meant the government would stop funding them. In return, Center Stage held events with vendors and lowered prices for kid tickets and mentioned that we can help promote Center Stage by sharing information about it with friends and family.
I greatly enjoyed this conversation. I thought that everyone in the class asked a lot of insightful questions, and I thought we were given insightful answers on both ends. Hearing the different interpretations of the play and the strength that Center Stage has shown throughout their struggles with the administration was admirable. I always love to have conversations with Center Stage. Now, on Friday, one of our 2 conversations was with Rona Kobel. Miss Rona is a regional reporter and journalist for the Baltimore Banner and covering Baltimore County. She primarily does environmental reporting, but before her job at the Banner, she worked for the Baltimore Sun and the Chesapeake Bay Journal for almost 20 years. She's won an award from Baltimore Magazine for the Best Environmental Reporter twice as well. She's also taught journalism at the University of Maryland, Loyola University, and Towson. When Miss Rona came in, she spoke about a lot of different things about her job and personal life. She spoke about her meeting with the county executive of Baltimore, who is giving $4 million in food aid due to the federal cuts to SNAP. Ms. Rona spoke largely about her experience as a journalist and her opinions on the industry.
She spoke about being cautious of getting news from social media because of the potential of being unreliable. She also spoke about how some people would mistake her own personal opinions for an actual news report. Because of this, she generally stopped venting a line about things she has an opinion on, since she feels that it doesn't move the needle of any of these issues. She also spoke about how the Trump administration is trying to erase African American history, since there are large bits of it that make white people look bad. She also acknowledges that white people should take responsibility for everything that happened.
On that note, she also spoke to the importance of giving full context to any story she writes. She said that it's good to give your opinion on stories as well, but try to be as factually correct and genuine as possible, while being open to correction from others. When asked about changes she's seen in the media, she spoke specifically about laziness in the news reporting. She specifically voiced her opinion on her colleagues taking things people say on Facebook and Twitter, which is something that she personally dislikes, seeing it as a more private matter.
During the conversation, she was also asked if the government shutdown had directly affected her job. She affirmed that the most journalist companies would be fine, considering that very few press companies would take any kind of funding from the government. As a result, she also said that Fox News and the Baltimore Sun sensationalizes and scare people, making people think that Baltimore is more dangerous than it really is.
Ms. Rona also wrote a book and participated in making a documentary referring to the people who stayed in the Eastern Shore, who are descendants of slaves. Because of climate change, the sea levels are rising, which causes flooding and destruction of communities. Their graves are being flooded with water, which desecrates the heritage and corpses of the people living there. The flooding also causes people to lose access to their generational wealth due to their homes being valued as basically worthless. Ms. Rona characterized this by referring to it as environmental racism, which I highly agree with. Unfortunately, the current administration is only doing more to worsen climate change, with our exit from the Paris Climate Agreement and other detrimental policies. Ms. Rona says that journalism is hard because it takes time away from her family, since she could be called up at any time and she has deadlines to meet. However, she still loves her job. One characteristic that she voiced in favor of was that she's a spokesperson for people who don't know things. She can help people solve problems by reporting on injustice, because shame is a powerful tool against wrongdoing. I thought the conversation was interesting and insightful, but what did you think about the conversation, Rylee?
I agree. I most definitely enjoyed this conversation with Miss Rona, and I found her to be a really interesting and open-minded person. All of her points were very well made, and hearing her talk changed my perspective on journalism and gave me great insight. Another conversation that we had on Friday was with MICA. MICA is the Maryland Institute College of Art, which is also a private arts and design college, which was founded in 1826 and regarded as one of the most oldest art colleges in the United States. On Friday, we spoke with Vanessa Lopez and Siobhan Vincent. Vanessa teaches a Master of the Teaching program, which allows undergrads and adult grads to graduate with a bachelor degree in art. She is an Aries who moved to New York City to Baltimore, Maryland, and taught at West Park and Patterson Park, which is 10 years of teaching altogether. Siobhan taught at Southwest Baltimore Charter School for 20 years in Baltimore and taught pre-K to 8th grade. After graduating from MICA, she led the Arts Integration Professional Development Sessions for Baltimore City educators. She is an artist and dog mom, and this is her first time doing a partnership with students. They both spoke about the program that they hold at MICA and what our art classes would look like. They talked about one of their major classes, which is Human Development and Practicums 1. This program allows their students to watch how an art class would run for 2 hours, and then the students would teach for an hour. This program goes on for 10 weeks. What do you think about this conversation, Danny?
Even though the conversation was short, I felt as if we both left a good impression on each other in the time we had. I hope that we will work together with them in the future for an amazing series of art seminars. I'm looking forward to it. For this week, our special spotlight is on the amazing Mr. Meade. He's the teacher for World History this year, and he's also one of my sponsors and mentors at TCS. He also has previously sponsored Ruth. Before Mr. Meade became a teacher, he was a banker for 10 years. Once he became a teacher, he spent the first 20 years of his career in education at the Waldorf School of Baltimore. The school is located in North Baltimore in the Cold Springs Newtown community. In general, the Waldorf style of teaching is characterized as a holistic approach which emphasizes intellectual, emotional, and physical development through an art-based curriculum.
After leaving Waldorf Academy, he spent a few years teaching in public education, then spent 8 years teaching at Mothers Teaching Academy. Many students at TCS are graduates of Mothers Teaching Academy. Danny, Hector, Ruth, Carla, Kennedy, and Madison are all graduates of MSA. Miss Janai, a former teacher and administration assistant at TCS who often comes by to help out, is also a graduate from MSA.
Mr. Meade retired from full-time teaching in June of this year, but got involved with the school through Mentoring Me, which began 3 years ago. Each student at the school is required to have at least 2 sponsors, and after graduating from MSA, Mr. Meade became one of mine. I would describe Mr. Meade as a very wise and intelligent man. He has helped and advised me on several occasions when I've needed guidance, and he's very supportive. I can recall several occasions when I would be having trouble mentally at MSA, and I would speak to him and spend time decompressing from things causing me stress. He's been a great addition to my life, and I would have never suspected in 6th grade that I would be learning from him again as a senior in high school. He's unescapable. Teaching isn't the only thing Mr. Meade does. One of his frequent hobbies, which keeps him in shape, is cycling.
I agree. Mr. Meade is a great history teacher, and your classes are always very informative and easy to follow.
I agree with that. World History is probably my favorite class this year. Mr. Meade is a great teacher, and I'm glad to have him as part of the school.
On Tuesday, we had an amazing art seminar with Damon Trueitt. Growing up, Damon often heard the phrase, pick a lane, which he never really correlated with. Damon told us that he was mainly influenced by the community he grew up with and that he wanted to give back to his community. Damon used to play basketball but stopped due to his loss of passion. Later in life, Damon got into art. He got a book about flowers and redrew a flower 570 times until it looked realistic enough to pluck. That's when Damon discovered that he had a passion for abstract art. When Damon got to high school, he started to talk to all kinds of people and found someone who would be interested in Damon's singing. Damon was 18 years old at this point and had released a song that went viral in the UK.
Once he found out his music was doing good in the UK, he flew out there to perform 13 different times. Unfortunately, Damon's track dealer messed up his work visa, and Damon never got to perform. Another one of Damon's released songs is called Slow Down. This song blew up after a man in Brazil danced to it, and soon it gained popularity through his music. Damon then got into law school and is now a paralegal. Along with that, Damon continues his art, and one of his friends took it to New York City where it blew up. Damon is now a singer, paralegal, and an artist, but then he started telling funny stories on social media about his community, which made him even more popular. A fair amount of Damon's artwork is inspired by people in his life, such as his neighbors and family members. One of his favorite pieces is called Mr. Randy, which is inspired by his neighbor, who is expressed as a very open and communicative guy. Damon has also faced problems with AI when he was working in a music group after a member of the group made an audio of Damon's voice, saying things that he didn't say before. Damon did not like this idea at all and decided that he wouldn't use AI in any of his work. Today, Damon continues to be a singer, paralegal, and artist, and he will be going on his first solo performance trip in March to Rio to perform Slow Down and other songs.
This art seminar was amazing. I found him to be a really creative person. Damon is very inspiring, and I hope to see him continue on his path.
I thought the conversation was very interesting and enjoyable. When he enumerated all of his hobbies, it almost reminded me of chapter 11 of The Picture of Dorian Gray, where it speaks about all of his hobbies and his unquenchable thirst for art and beauty. Mr. Damon is a highly creative person, and his Renaissance man level of versatility is admirable. Wait, Rylee, I think there's one more thing we need to cover. Oh, right, Mr. Tom's birthday. Mr. Tom turned 71 years old on Tuesday. As usual, Mr. Don baked a special cake for Mr. Tom, which everyone enjoyed. Mr. Tom is an amazing teacher, role model, and mentor to everyone in the school. He works really hard for all of us, even with his recent health issues that he's been suffering through. You're an amazing soul, and happy belated birthday, Mr. Tom.
Happy birthday, Mr. Tom. You have been outstanding throughout this entire process, and I hope you have an amazing birthday and many more to come.
Now, we would like to thank everyone for the lunches. Thank you so much, Ms. Nickmeyer, for the creamy curry sauce, rice, vegetables, and chips on Wednesday. The food was delicious.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jacqueline and Corey's mom, for the pizza on Thursday. It was very tasty, and we appreciate your donation.
Thank you so much, Mr. John, Mingo's dad, for the mac and cheese on Friday. It was very flavorful.
Much appreciation to Miss Lisa, Jason's mom, for the delectable beef stew and bread on Tuesday. It was very delicious.
Thank you so much, Miss Carla and Ruth's mom, for the pasta on Tuesday. It was very tasty. That's it for this edition of TCS News. Make sure to like and subscribe.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.